Hello, everyone. This is Cody Lee of BlackCatBooks.org, author of I, the Dragon, Cruel and Beautiful, Rabbit Hole, Lorne Frey, and the upcoming Jaw of the Dragon. What I've been doing over the past day or so is playing a lot of Game Boy games. I haven't been playing Metroid Prime Remastered. I haven't been playing Game Boy Advance. I've been playing Game Boy games, and a big part of that is because, I feel that I haven't spent a lot of time with a ton of Game Boy games. There's a handful that I consider some of my favorite ever. Link's Awakening, I think that's actually it actually on the initial lineup. You don't like Pokemon and stuff like that. But the long and short of it is the Game Boy came out when I was way too young to really appreciate a lot of the titles that were enjoyed by older audiences, particularly stuff like Tetris and things along those lines. So, being able to experience some of these games that I missed out on is quite a treat. And so Super Mario Land 2, I think, is one of those examples of a Mario game that I think that a lot of people have completely forgotten even exists, which is kind of strange considering how popular the original Super Mario Land was. It sold 18 million copies, and I believe was the best-selling Mario game ever for a long time. Super Mario Land was fairly popular for what it was, and two I don't think did poorly either. But looking at this now, looking at what Mario became in the years and months to follow, Super Mario Land really does stick out like a sore thumb in a lot of in a lot of ways. The original has the rail shooter sections, proving that Mario has indeed been in a shmup title at least once, and Super Mario Land 2, I think, really sticks out as just being a very strange 2D platforming game in the sense where it doesn't really feel all that much like a Mario game, tone wise. The colors are darker because we're on Game Boy, the music's kind of melancholy, and the worlds are completely wildly different than what you would expect from a Mario game. You have a turtle zone, you have a tree zone, you have a pumpkin zone, which is Halloween themed. You have enemies Goomba ghosts that float like Medusa heads from Castlevania, which nobody talks about anymore. This is a very strange 2D Mario game that doesn't really feel like it really fits into the wider scope of the verse. Bowser is not the antagonist. This game, these games came out in a time where Nintendo was being very experimental with the IP and doing new things with it. Super Mario Land takes place in Sarasa Land rather than the Mushroom Kingdom, and you're rescuing Daisy instead of Peach, which is why, and apparently why, in the Super Mario Bros. Movie they decided to call the princess Daisy instead of Peach. They decided to consolidate the characters. So yeah, Daisy originated in Super Mario Land, but Wario debuted in Super Mario Land 2, 6 golden coins. Wario is the antagonist here, which is way different than what you would typically expect from a Mario game. Because even at this stage, Bowser was well established as just the general antagonist for the Mario Brothers to overcome. But in one you didn't fight him; you fought this guy this alien named Tatanga instead, who curiously has not appeared in over 30 years, which I find to be interesting. Nobody remembers Tatanga. He's the least popular Mario villain ever. You have Bowser has established himself as the go-to Mario bad guy forever. Wart from Super Mario Bros. 2 exists, but it was kind of established that that was just a dream and doesn't really count. This is Wario, okay? This is Wario's debut. He is the antagonist. He took over your castle, and you got to get the 6 golden coins so you can go in there and kick his ass. So it's a bit different than the standard Mario game, in that respect, where the antagonist is different, the stakes are different, and the level design is different. It's interesting. One of the things I noticed, playing this game is that the enemies actually more strongly resemble enemies from Wario Land games than Mario ones. You have Goombas and stuff like that, but a lot of the new original enemies are stuff that we've never seen in Mario games, period. I don't have a name for them. You have these bugs and trees, and you have these things, walking around. There are enemies here that I don't necessarily know the name of, which isn't typical for Mario games these days. Typically, most things that you encounter, or it looks it could be part of the verse. But Wario tends to have this darker edge to them. They tend to be more sinister. They tend to look a little bit more grotesque. They tend to look a bit more demented, a bit more out there, a bit more trippy. I was thinking as I was playing this, and Mario Land 2 surprisingly kind of has that same edge to it, because unlike standard Mario games, you actually do have original boss fights. Like each zone has a boss stage in which like a boss is guarding one of the 6 golden coins. You actually have to beat a boss to get one of the 6 golden coins. Like the one I fought this at this stage was like a giant bird, and all you have to do is like jump on it. It's not like complex or anything, but like it reminds me a lot of like Super Mario Bros. New Super Mario Bros. Right, where you actually had original boss enemies at the end of each world, as opposed to like what we get now, where it's just typically like a Koopaling or something like that. Uh, it it feels like they actually put effort in like coming up with like new original boss designs, and I think that design actually went to the next level with the sequel to this, Super Mario Land 3, Wario Land. Right, because like the Mario Land series was like hugely successful and popular, but Nintendo made the conscious decision to like shelve it, to like put it aside and develop Wario Land instead, to develop Wario as the protagonist of his own games, and then like that became like its side series with its own popularity, its own fan base, its own culture, so to speak. And like games like Wario Land 3 are considered some of the best on Game Boy Color. I would say like Wario Land Shake It is one of my favorite games on Wii, and of course like I grew up with Wario Land 4. I have like a lot of fan memories with it. Like I think Wario Land it really it really is a testament to like Nintendo's value of creativity and like doing new things with their IPs, that like they allowed the Mario Land team to deviate from Mario Land, the highly successful series they had been making up to that point, in order to focus on like a new like semi-satirical series, Wario Land instead. Because Wario Land 3, Super Mario Land, Wario Land became Wario Land 2, and then 3, and then 4, and then Shake It, and well, actually, then 4, and then WarioWare. So like, we somehow went down this wild path where like these highly successful Mario games became like something completely different, as they developed and became more fleshed out, and that led to like entirely new characters that you would never see in a mainline Mario game. Like would Ashley or like young Cricket ever appear in a standard Mario game? No. Like, and those characters are like hugely popular in like the Wario Land community, WarioWare community, right? And I really value that, honestly. I really do think that like Mario Land 2 is probably one of those games that is unfortunately very neglected in the community. Like I never heard anyone talk about this game growing up. It's not really one that comes up or is really discussed all that often. It is like the poster child of what I was talking about when I was saying that like Game Boy games have become obscure, because this game does have a lot of things going for it. Like I'm surprised as I play this game and see like the levels and like the power ups and like the things you can do in it, like the how they handle like certain limitations, like objects don't move as much in this game as they do in standard Mario games, so they design the levels to like accommodate that. The power ups a little bit different. uh there are like so many positive things to say about this game. Like you can't really say this game is bad. I mean, obviously I can see like a lot of people preferring Super Mario World. I prefer Super Mario World, but like at the end of the day, Super Mario Land 2 is actually not all that bad of a game. I think it's pretty solid. I think it's very respectable. I think that like, it would be nice if more people like acknowledge this game as being like a relatively solid entry in the Mario franchise. I really value it for its uniqueness, its creativity, the changes it made to the formula, and the introduction of one of my favorite Mario characters, Wario. So this game is very special to me, in spite of the fact it's not one of my favorite games of all time. I like this, and you should absolutely check it out.